All right. Welcome those watching outside of the Discord. This is going to be an Alpha Sharks overview. We'll be going over the view page and going over any questions that any of the Alpha Sharks holders actually have. And yeah, we're going to give it a few minutes to let some people jump in here and then we'll get started. All right. Welcome those watching outside of the Discord, watching on Twitch and Twitter. We will be doing another Sharks overview today, and we will also be doing a giveaway as well. So if anybody has any questions, do not be afraid to ask them. And let's actually just jump right into the tool itself. So first things first, I do like to come up into our training page and like, again, seeing a few different ideas or concepts that we're going to want to be looking at. First things first is going to be our time frames. And this is something that's very key to just coming in here and seeing what time frame you're going to want to be, I guess, looking at for where the demand's actually coming in. My personal preference is I like starting on the 24-hour and going back into a smaller time frame. It's just the way I've found that is a little more efficient because I can see what's trending on a bigger picture as opposed to just smaller time frames. And usually projects on the bigger picture that have bigger ETH volume traded are probably going to be the ones with a little more demand at that point. So one thing I do want to look at in the column here is going to be volume traded, and this is going to be volume traded across the 24-hour time frame. And right now we cannot toggle or filter per statistic here, but if you go into any time frame, they will automatically be put into sales. We will be getting a portion where we can start filtering and scanning and stuff like that, but as of right now, this is what we're dealing with. And let's see what's kind of quote unquote normal for the day. So the first one I'm looking at right here is going to be our planet, 378 ETH volume traded. Usually on the 24-hour, from what we've been seeing, about triple-digit ETH volume is something that we definitely want to keep an eye on, because notice the next few projects, they don't even touch that triple-digit ETH volume. None of these projects down here. So we know that all these projects below are not as in much demand yet currently on the 24-hour time frame, as opposed to this our planet. So so 378 ETH, that's quite a bit of ETH traded. But let's go and see what's, I guess, the second quote unquote normal, because we have an outlier here. There's nothing else with triple-digit ETH volume traded, at least on the column that we're looking at. So let's break down these two. So 18 ETH volume traded. Again, this looks like this just came out. So if we start seeing this on a smaller time frame, this could definitely be something that we're going to want to be looking at momentum-wise. This Asian Disappointments, 51 ETH traded. Again, not anywhere close to the first project that we're looking at with our planet on the 24-hour time frame. So if we do happen to see this on a smaller time frame, it will potentially be in demand, but again, not as much as other projects that we're kind of filtering through as well. So let's go down and see if there's any other triple-digit ETH volume traded, and that's why we zoom or scroll down here, because notice this one right here, 595 ETH volume traded on other side. This is definitely something to keep an eye on, because this is a lot of liquidity here. Notice this is dang near double our planet's volume. So we definitely want to keep an eye on this if we start seeing this again on smaller time frames. So let's keep going down and jump into a 1 hour time frame. And let's actually see what, again, is quote unquote normal for volume down here. And again, we can see other side pushing 50 ETH, which again is double-digit ETH volume traded. On the 1 hour is pretty solid volume. We're seeing board Reddit Karma Club up here with pushing about 20 ETH volume traded, about half of the other side. Not too bad, assuming that this is pretty much just came out. And let's keep scrolling down. Our planet has about 5, nothing too crazy. We do kind of want to see that push towards about 10 plus to kind of give us some more demand coming in potentially. And I'm not seeing anything crazy volume wise down here. Rooney with 5.1, 11% listed and 61% unique holders. This could be something to keep an eye on if we start seeing it on smaller time frames as well. That's pretty much it. Let's jump into something like a 15-minute. And again, we do see our board Reddit Karma Club coming out on top. Still has half the volume that other side has, but not too shabby for the percent listed that it has here and the amount of sales that are actually coming in. So again, double-digit ETH volume is something we're looking at right now. And again, those two are going to be pretty much the ones that have the most demand on the time frame that we're looking at most currently. So Rooney 1.38, just not enough to kind of get us going. What is this? 278 273 ETH volume traded with NBCP sitting at 30%. Wow. I'm gonna check this out real quick because this is either wash trading going on or something else. So give me one sec. I do want to check this out, see what we're doing. Oh yeah, it is wash trading. Okay, so the reason, again, I kind of figured. Go ahead. Reason I was looking at that number right there, it was about 200 and something ETH volume traded. That's definitely abnormal, even on our daily volume. So seeing that on something like a very small time frame, you kind of have to keep an eye on, like, you just kind of have to keep a mental note saying like, okay, it sounds too good to be true. Usually if it does sound too good to be true, it probably is. And again, you can see that with these 136 ETH wash trades that are going down on these other marketplaces. So that's why that volume kind of showed up that way. So let's go back. That was interesting. We don't see lots of that live, so it's a nice little tip if you guys start seeing something that's just abnormal, like completely abnormal. Like, that's to do 273 ETH volume on a 15-minute time frame is berserk, pretty much unheard of. So just make sure if you see something that is kind of like a data anomaly, try to go in there and see what's actually happening, because the data's there. It's getting calculated for a reason. But yeah, that's a nice little breakdown right there. Let's jump into our 5-minute. I think we kind of already have our movers for, at least for now. Again, sticking in with the board Reddit Karma Club. Again, looking at volume here. I'm looking for at least a digit of ETH volume traded within 5 minutes. Preferably 2.5. So I'm not seeing other deed. I can see other deed came in with 16 ETH here. And board Reddit Karma Club actually came in with 4 ETH. And if we actually scroll down, we actually have nothing else that's showing us that has major demand coming in. So we pretty much broke it down to 2 projects that are kind of in motion right now. Technically 3, because our planet had the most volume on the day right behind the other side. So we really broke it down into 3 different projects. First one I'm going to jump into is going to be board Reddit Karma Club, because I think that's the play of the day. Notice we have 41 transactions kind of going on right here. 10% listed, definitely something to kind of look at as well. So let's jump into the view itself. And what I'm doing here is just opening up the time span, and I'm changing the interval to see what is actually going on within the last, assuming this is just minted. So here, these are 1-minute charts right here that we're going to be looking at. But before we jump into the charting portion, let's break down the stat bar that we have up top. So stat bar, not a great owner to supply ratio that we want. Ideally, there's more holders to supply, meaning that less owners own more supply, meaning that they have more potential to drop more supply onto the floor. That's why you're kind of seeing lots of blues and purples candles sitting right here for the sell walls, because again, our owner to supply ratio is telling us that, yeah, multiple wallets hold way more than just 1 or 2 to 4 tokens. They're holding 5 to 9, 10 plus tokens at that point. So this is just telling us that if we're looking to kind of run this up, we're going to have a bit of a harder time running it up, because so many people have so many of the NFT. So ideally, I want to see this over time. I want owners to kind of rise, ideally near that 50%. That's just a personal preference of myself. But it doesn't mean it can't run. It's just giving us an indication that it's probably going to be a little harder to continue if we keep pushing, I guess, very strongly at that point. Another thing that we're going to look at, NBCP. NBCP is a very, very huge number, especially for something like this that has just came out. It's going to stand for next blue chip probability. And the next blue chip probability is basically calculating holders of blue chip projects that we're actually considering taking how many wallets hold this particular NFT and taking a mean between all of the groups that we're considering to be blue chips. So ideally, higher the number, the more blue chips that are actually in the project. But we don't just utilize that as a technical indicator. We ideally use this as a social indicator as well. Because think about what NBCP is, next blue chip probability, and how's that calculated through the projects that are actually considered blue chips. And think about when people of that nature or of that status, I guess you would say, actually jump into a project, and they're giving us the platform potentially to have more eyes coming into this project itself. So the higher the number, ideally, the higher the potential this can really gain traction over time. So one thing I do immediately when I jump into any project that I'm looking at, I write down what the NBCP is when I'm instantly looking at that project, because the change in NBCP is giving us indication of, are blue chip projects bullish on this, or are they trying to get out of their position? This is giving us a very key indication. And if you can start seeing this to push 3, 5, 7, 10%, and you can start seeing this climb, you can pretty much almost assure that the price action will almost follow that as well. But just be very careful not to use NBCP as a strict standalone indicator. That is not what it's meant for at all. Just because NBCP is, let's say, 40 or 60%, doesn't mean price is just going to continue all the way up. That's why we still look at our amount of listings coming in, the demand and the momentum that's coming in, our volume, our MACD that's coming. We're drawing trend lines. There's multiple things that we're kind of accumulating to get this NBCP to kind of add to our conviction. So NBCP is a huge number, and if you guys aren't utilizing that, I would highly recommend that you guys start doing that. The next thing that we're going to go over is the amount of listings. Obviously, this is self-explanatory, but we do have a key portion where listings is directly linked to this chart right here as well. So anytime that you're changing the amount of listings here, we should see a reflection on this chart. Exception would be if, notice this has a threshold, I guess, inputs that you can do. So let's say we're looking for a threshold. Let's say we're only looking for listings up until a certain price point. So let's say we're trying to get to this 0.105. Notice my amount of listings actually change from this top stat bar to what I'm actually calculating now, because it has a threshold saying like we're only calculating up until this point on the graph. Again, if you don't want that, you can reset it, and we should ideally be in the same updated as the stat bar as well. So this is really useful. The threshold is really useful if you're looking to get to certain price points, because really if you're looking to get to, let's say in this case, like 0.05, let's say that's what you're kind of going for, or 0.06, and you don't really care about the 0.1s or 0.75s, you don't really, that's not something you're looking for. You can put the threshold up until here and see kind of how the demand is, supply and demand is actually being impacted at that point, up until those walls that you're looking at. So definitely utilize the threshold if you guys are looking to get to certain price targets, because we have to have some type of exit strategy if we're looking to even buy into it. So using this as kind of a realistic feed is something to definitely utilize, because this can give you different information. If we have, for most times, most listings are going to be out in front, but let's say in the rare case, our most listings were on the back end, and we again really didn't care about that. We're just looking for something intermediate. This could really help you out to see how feasible that true price point is for that project. So one of the next things we're going to jump over is 1 hour cancels. Get questions about this one a lot. 1 hour cancels is basically just telling us it is considering the delistings inside of this calculation, but it's also putting up the cancels that are actually happening. We can see pretty much the same number that's popping up here. But yes, this 1 hour cancel is huge, because if we start to see, notice all these are kind of highlighted, but when I change this back to all, not all of them are highlighted because these are actual sales that are going through, and the highlighted ones are actually ones that have been canceled or delisted. And if we start to see 1 hour cancels going up, usually triple digits for something like a 10K supply, you can pretty much assure that there's some type of news catalyst at that point. Just in case you don't have that information in front of you, you can utilize that as an indicator to see, hey, there's a reason why a ton of people, not just 1 or 2 or 10 people just canceling out of random. It's probably because there's some type of news catalyst going through. So definitely keep an eye on 1 hour cancels if you're looking to play something like a news play or something that has some type of momentum going into it. Then you got your 24-hour, pretty much just giving us the volume on the 24-hour, which we kind of did the breakdown on the trend page as well. Then you have your sales for 1 day, 1 hour, and 10 minutes. And this is, again, pretty much self-explanatory, just giving us the sales for that 1 day. And the icons next to it are going to be giving us an indication of whether that's positive or negative on this time frame that we're looking at. So it's saying sales on the 1 day are greater by no percent because this hasn't been out for a day. So it's obviously going to be green, and this is going to be the all-time sales. Notice 1 hour sales, same idea, because we haven't even been out for an hour. Last 10 minutes, but we have been out for more than 10 minutes. So you can see that how this actually translates. It's saying that there were 552 transactions in the last 10 minutes, but we're actually downtrending on the amount of sales that are coming in within the last 10 minutes, as opposed to the prior 10 minutes that we're calculating. So we're down about 0.072% of amount of sales that were coming in. So this can give us an indication again on the momentum that's actually coming through, especially on sale wise, if we're looking at something kind of smaller priced. Let's see if there's any questions. Okay. Cool. Is anybody in this by any chance, if you guys don't mind me asking? Yeah. Nice. Did you pick up, what was your kind of strategy, if you don't mind me asking? Mm-hmm. So you ended up getting a top 1%? Nice, nice. Mm-hmm. Listen. Nice. Mm-hmm. Right. Nice. Congrats on that, dude. It's a heck of a buy. Yeah, I want to touch on that. The trait portion. Right now, notice my chart ended up kind of changing because our filters are going to directly correlate to the charts that we're kind of charting as well. So we're also trying to find something, because this could be when we're filtering on traits or something like, let's say, top 1%. I do ideally still want to see the everything that's kind of going on within the whole project. But notice when I actually change and apply the filter for ranks only 1 through 100, I'm only getting the charting system that's actually happening for this. So I can't really technically see the live, I guess, flow of data for the whole project that's going through. For something that's more liquid, these candlesticks would be a lot more cleaner. And I do agree with that statement, being if something's revealed, playing the rarity is probably going to, as long as it has major volume. Notice board Reddit Karma Club was the second highest ETH volume traded project of the day. So having that in mind, the demand is there, and potentially playing a reveal play off of this is, like Viv was saying, is probably not a very high risk play right there, because you already have the volume, you already have the demand that's been shown across that 24-hour time frame. So right here, I'm calculating, this is just, again, I'm just trying to give an example. Trying to just show the delta between certain ranks to potentially get a snipe in. So right here, we're filtering by top 1%, and we can actually see right here, there's a little delta to be made potentially if, again, the volume or demand continues inside of this project. Because again, if the volume continues, it's more likely that a entity or person will end up coming in here to try to buy up rarity, as long as the demand keeps continuing. But something like this is kind of like an arbitrage play potentially, because notice the delta is almost 100%, almost like 70% of a change. Obviously not a big difference in ETH price, but if you can buy this up, and this potentially can start running up, where you can start seeing a few more buys on rares, you can start getting to other price points. And this is where utilizing amount of holders here is huge, because you can see again how many tokens people are actually holding for when they're actually listing the NFT. Plus, another thing for rarity sniping, one thing I do like to do is change listing by nature, because this, again, when we're looking at rares, we're playing with a different crowd at this point, and we're trying to see if they're going to be either smart buyers or smart sellers. Usually, if you're trade sniping, you're usually considered the smart buyer. But the key thing that comes into looking for another potential snipe, if this is, I guess, quote unquote, already ran, we want to look to see if the people are actually undercutting themselves, and how many people in a row are actually undercutting themselves, because this can give us a earlier indication of, hey, maybe this project is actually losing a bit of momentum, at least for the time being. But right now we're filtering by 1%, top 1%, and this is not a bad idea, because notice we actually have sales at 0.1, 0.012, actually no sales above this 0.02 as of yet. But if we do start to see this one start getting bought up, you're probably going to start seeing people start buying up the rares slowly. But again, this is a little, I guess not more advanced, but I would say for more intermediate traders looking to, I guess, understand the psychology behind the buyers and the sellers of a project that is actually in demand. So yeah, that's a very nice buy right there, bud. There's another project that we're looking at. This one, Our Planet, is something I wanted to go over. Oh, Lake had a question. This may be a dumb question, but 1 hour cancel is the number. If the number is high, that could be an announcement to make listers bullish type thing, or buyers canceling due to information. Does it tell you which party canceled? Is it if the number is high, could that be due to the announcement to make listers bullish? Um, it could be a few things. It could be that people are trying to get out of their, I guess, position. Let me see if I could find um, a portion where we actually see that. Why are my 1 hour cancels not showing? One sec. There we go. So you're saying if the 1 hour cancels are high, it could make the listers bullish? Yes, I do. That's the point. Any news catalyst, really. Because when we're seeing 1 hour cancels, what is that really meaning? It's meaning that people that put up a listing are looking to retract that. And they're not looking to get that price point anymore. And usually when you cancel, you're looking to kind of I guess put a higher price point at that point. So I'm trying to find. It's very rare that we do see this, but when you do get like an intermediate reaction off of like a news catalyst, actually, other side might have this right now, so let's go over that. Not too many, but kind of the same concept. I know that they didn't have an announcement coming out, but let's say we start seeing this number kind of going up again. It's probably because people are trying to get a higher price point for what they initially posted. And there's actually an indicator. Notice we have our green is going to indicate listing for the first time. Red is going to show that we're actually undercutting this particular NFT, meaning it was put up for a price before and now it's actually lowered. And then this rare one that we see, this yellow listed up. If you start to see this on, again, something that has a major news catalyst, this is something that you want to keep very, very, very close attention to, because this doesn't happen very often. If you start to see lots of yellow listings coming in here, it's telling us that people not only put up a listing, but they paid the money to cancel their listing and put it up at a higher price. So that's a very bullish indicator. If we start to see if we start seeing floods of yellows coming in, that's probably because there's some type of announcement and people are starting to look to say, hey, my post or the NFT that I'm putting out is not worth that price anymore, or at least to me, for whatever reason that is, whether that's, again, a news catalyst, a partnership, it could be pretty much anything. Whatever can get holders to delist and get buyers to start coming in, then that's something we're going to want to look at. Hope that was a decent explanation. Cool. Yeah, good question. Let's see. But yeah, just want to open up the chat to anybody who has any questions. Had some really interesting visuals today. We saw some wash trading. We saw Board Karma Reddit Club just doing its thing. Major, just consistent volume coming in over time. And notice what our MBCP is doing here. We were sitting at 1.01 earlier. Now we're sitting at 50% above what we were at. So something to keep an eye on here. Yeah, this number here is very key for something that's in play kind of like this, especially right off the bat, because you get to see NBCP form pretty much from the birth. And you can notice if more blue chip projects are coming into the project over time, these blue chip people, they're not looking to make 0.01. They're looking to make multiple ETH off of numerous assets that they're holding. So they're not here for the smaller plays, which again is something we want this to increase, because those holders, again, they're not looking for small gains. They're looking for something a little more exponential. So again, watching this number over time is something you're definitely going to want to do if you're not already doing that. But yeah, floor is kind of open to any of you guys who have any questions, any comments, any concerns. If you guys have any suggestions for the tool, right now would be the time to kind of drop those. Again, we go over these pretty much daily. So if you guys have anything to input into the tool, we are trying to get that feedback and implement that into the next update that you guys are going to absolutely love. That update is going to be pretty insane. But again, it cannot be done without the help of you guys and the input of pretty much everybody here. So yeah, appreciate you guys being here. I see tap typing. Gonna give him that time. Yeah, no worries, man. For those who are in the last sessions, can we tell me why we're actually reversing at this price right here? Actually, people who've been to the last few sessions should know this indicator right here. Let's see who's going to get the gold star for the day. Didn't hear the question. Why are we are we just reversing off this level just because? Or what's happening here? I would like to know. Right here, I'll give you guys a visual aid. Right at this point, what's going on right here? Retrace over bot. I like that. Maha, more listings. Ooh, tap. Okay. MACD crossing, Viv, solid. All right, we're learning. Cool. Oh, that's awesome. That makes me happy. One thing I'd be doing right here, initially off the drop, let's say we saw this while it was minting out. First thing I'd be doing is waiting for points to see where we're actually at in a trend. The first 10 minutes, I ideally don't like using TradingView. I'd rather use the AS Sharks expert view because it just gives us a better visual aid over that. So ideally we wouldn't want to be drawing that, but let's say after that 10 minutes kind of formed or 15 minutes passed, you can see that we're pretty much on an uptrending phase kind of after that. And seeing this pullback, this first pullback here, once we actually broke out of the range, getting this pullback here was solidifying a pretty much upward trend at that point, because right here, at this point, buyers are paying a premium now. We're now making a higher low. And then we did the exact same thing just moments right after that. But look at our MACD. For those who have been to the last few sessions, this should kind of make sense to you. It's telling us that bulls are kind of losing the momentum here, right? But they haven't completely lost it. And we're still making higher highs at this point. And look at what's happening with our volume. Our volume over time is rising. It's not decreasing at this point. It'd be interesting to see, can we go back that far? To see how the listings were, like Tap was saying. Look at the amount of listings at this point. I'm going to draw a line from this reversal point to see what exact time this is. So 2340, so right here. Notice how right here we have lots of things kind of correlating. We're testing to see if we're going to break the last high, meaning this initial point here. Oops. Here. Last initial high. We're coming up to a potential topping zone. Not only that, but look what starts happening with our MACD. It's telling us, hey, we're kind of losing, we're kind of getting exhausted here. Kind of like Maha was saying, we're a little overbought. Technically, it's not telling us that we're overbought, but it's just telling us that we're losing momentum. That's kind of the main key I wanted us to get. We're losing momentum at this point, running into a prior resistance, running and breaking potentially this trend line that we've had for the last hour. And we're losing momentum. Plus, the major thing I want us to look at, listings. The amount of listings right here at this point was very key, because this could have turned and bounced right off that line, right? But the reason it didn't is because look at the amount of listings, and actually volume started to decrease at this point as well. If we started to see this go the other way, it is very likely that we could have seen Board Reddit Karma Club actually bounce right off that trend line. And again, it's not random. It doesn't happen just by chance. This is all Alpha Sharks is giving you the story. We just have to learn how to read it. And that's kind of the point of showing up to these things. I'm trying to get you guys to understand how to read what data is actually telling us, because we can have all the data in the world. It's great to have all the data, but if we don't know what it's doing or what it's telling us, then it's really pointless. But yeah, for those who have showed up to the last sessions, we should know exactly why this is reversing right here. This should not be a surprise to us at all. But yeah, I wanted to definitely jump in on that, because getting lots of questions on the MACD, and I do need to go a little more in depth on that, because I really need you guys to understand what this is actually doing, because this alone could have pretty much told us this with price action, listings, and our volume combination could have gave us a really good indication on why we're doing what we're doing. Anybody tell me why we're actually bouncing right here? Right at this point. MetaQuick, yes, we do. It will be live on my Twitter directly after. If not, we'll be uploading it to YouTube as well, just a few days later. But I wouldn't say. Yeah, because price action has memory. That's one thing I really want us to push. It's pushing that prior resistance, which now we're potentially turning into support for now. But look at our MACD as well, and look at the volume that's coming in at that point. If this can start to cross over and our listings can start doing what I have drawn here, we can likely see another bounce to potentially retest this last trend line, which again could potentially be this last high. But the thing that we're going to run into is if we don't break that last high, all we're doing is forming this little triangle formation over time, which is just a bigger pattern for a breakout of either direction, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. So watching these points of interest and knowing where candlesticks have respect, because again, price action has memory. Notice this first initial candle is kind of a huge kind of decrease in price right here. But notice we try to come up to it, and we almost rejected it at that point, but then we ended up getting volume to push us through. And then we actually came back to retest, and again we had the same thing coming in, where volume actually came in to kind of push us through as well. So again, those are points of interest. And then look at future price action, where to come right back down to those zones that we pretty much had tested. So yeah, I would definitely be watching, drawing trend lines. If you guys can do that, that is something I highly recommend. If you guys can start doing that and start reading the MACD and using that with listings and volume and your trend lines, you're going to start seeing a lot more correlation happening. Because again, these things don't just happen out of the blue. There's a reasoning for each individual kind of transaction that's happening. MetaQuick, perfect, thanks. Want to go through all YouTube videos. This has been very helpful. Awesome. Glad it's helping. Cool. The listings are testing it right now. Listings right now is staying in this little box. It's consolidating. If we can start to break below, again, that would be giving us less supply that is actually in circulation. And all we would need is volume to continue here and for bulls to actually start taking over. Let's see why this is actually bouncing here. Volume, MACD crossing, our listing stopped, I guess, going straight up at this point. But again, we're kind of running into this portion where do we have enough volume to break out of the last high? Are we even going to get to the last high? Or are we just going to form this triangle formation where we're going to bounce right off and then just consolidate back and forth and then get to an apex point to where we're going to have to break out, whether that's to the upside or the downside. Somebody's going to have to take control, whether that's buyers or sellers coming in. And again, that's where we start looking at amount of listings, our MACD crossing, our volume, our candlesticks, our trend lines. So many things that we're kind of looking at. Again, too, if you're looking to kind of swing this, NBCP keeps rising over time. Last time we said it was 0.15, I think. Now it's sitting at 0.17. So seeing this kind of grow live is, again, a number that you're going to want to absolutely look at if you're looking to potentially swing something. Spike key, what is the software plugin you're using to mark up the screen? It's going to be called one sec. I'm on MacBook, so it's actually on the App Store. If you type that in, it should be like a purple icon, I think. But yeah. Cool. Alright, we are coming up on the hour mark. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, definitely don't be afraid to drop them here. But yeah, go ahead. Somebody had a question? No dice. Okay, cool. We do these sessions about twice a week. We do try to hold them consistently on Mondays and Tuesdays. The Monday session is usually 2 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday session is usually 7:15 p.m. Eastern. And again, we do try to take the feedback from all the sessions and try to implement that back into the tool itself, and especially around the people who show up to these sessions, because we know you guys are the ones actually utilizing the tool. So yeah, really appreciate all the feedback that you guys are giving out here. Tap, not a trade-centered question. Do you know if the devs are considering adding another chain to the future? I personally, I'm not 100 on that. I can definitely ask, but as of right now, it's just ETH. But yeah, I will definitely ask about that. Just bought my Shark today and really loving the TradingView option. Yes, sir. That is an amazing feature that we get access to. And yeah, if you end up showing up to these more, we are going to start getting a lot more in depth with the TradingView portion. But I got to get us as a collective to start understanding the story that's being told, because there's a lot more. I mean, go into indicators here, you can just have a class on each individual indicator, really. But again, it's all irrelevant if you don't know what it's telling you. And again, each one that I'm going to be showing you guys is going to build off on top of each other. So definitely, if you guys haven't, get that MACD indicator down. And if you guys don't, next week we'll be diving a little bit deeper into that as well. So make sure to dive into that. Pete Loki Med, how much, if any, does the holder ratio affect your decisions on buying on the secondary? It does affect me, just because I'm more of a conservative trader, and I'd rather go into projects with holders that only hold 1 to 2 to 4 tokens. I'm not a big fan of people holding 5 to 9 or 10 plus tokens myself, because again, there's a higher probability that they can dump liquidity on me, or dump the floor price on that, which again, I'm not looking to dump the floor price. I'm looking to get that up, actually. So I want other holders in here that are looking to hold for that long run, and it's usually the ones who only have 1 or 2 tokens, because they have less to give up if that continues going up. Or like how to tell will start dumping. You'll be able to see that in the update that we're coming out with. It's going to be a lot more in depth on, like right now we have like our notable holders, and we can see 3 wallets hold 38 of this project, right? But we can't individually see the wallets, or we can't go in to see what ones they're actually holding, or we can't do any of that as of right now. But in the update, it's going to be really interesting, because we're going to start going really in depth on who these holders are, what NFTs they're holding, where they're putting their ETH at after they get into these projects. It's going to be a crazy update. I don't think you guys are fathoming how insane it's going to be, but we're going to have a lot to go over. So I highly suggest, if you guys think this is kind of a lot to understand already, I would start messing around with sharks a lot and going over the sessions, if you guys have time, because the next update is going to be berserk. There's going to be a lot of depth that we're going to have to go into, and yeah, we're gonna see some crazy features inside of that update. Maha, yeah, most definitely. Yep, trust me, that you're gonna be able to see damn near everything. At least stuff that we see that's useful. Hopefully it's useful. I mean, that's the plan, right? But again, it's kind of a work in progress. We get that out. You guys use it. You guys tell us what works, what doesn't, what we like, what we don't like, and then we go back to stage 1, scrap it, put in what we think is solid, and kind of go back from there. So yeah, I think you guys are really gonna like that stuff, because yeah, I get lots of questions regarding like wallet tracking and stuff like that. So yeah, you guys be a little patient, and we'll get that out to y'all. But cool. Yeah, just wanted to open it up to see if there were any other questions. Again, we do host these twice a week. This is the second session of the week. I will be doing another session, I believe the following upcoming week, Mondays and Tuesdays most likely. Be on the lookout for those educator session announcements. If you guys don't have that media ping roll, make sure to grab that up. And we will definitely keep you posted on the next session. And if we don't have any other questions, we do have another giveaway today, and it is going to be via Twitter. So let me get that link real quick. So for those who have showed up, really appreciate you guys coming down. If you guys can do one solid, if you guys want to be entered in the giveaway, you guys can tweet one takeaway from the session, whether it was something you learned, something that you didn't really like, something that we can improve on, anything that you're kind of opinionated on. We really appreciate that feedback, and that is the entry to the actual giveaway. So if you can tweet that one takeaway, tag myself and Alpha Sharks inside of that, you will be entered inside the giveaway. And Run is Llamaverse worth getting into? Absolutely. I'm probably majorly biased, but I have no doubt in the llama ecosystem. Cool. Repanther, why are the latest volume bars showing to be much larger than previous? Something is happening in your chart settings. Because there's more volume coming in at this point. We have more sales that are happening. So let me make sure that that's the case, because sometimes we do get misprints of volume. I have seen that. I'm not sure if that's on our end or if that's on TradingView's end, but I do happen to see that sometimes. But this, I believe this is true. So let me refresh this just in case. Okay, let's go back to TradingView. Okay, yeah, we can see those were misprints. Yeah, if you start to see that, you'll be able to see it off the first candlestick that you're doing it on. At least that's what I've noticed. We're trying to get that fixed up, because that's definitely something we want to take into consideration. But yeah, that was definitely a bug. But yeah, still working on that. Getting these candlesticks to look very clean in the way that they are, and getting the volume to calculate is something that is we're still trying to kind of perfect. So yeah, like right now we're starting to see this this volume rise, but notice we're not getting any buys here, right? We're not seeing, I mean, here's one, but not as many as we're seeing back here. And you can see this is kind of calculating that. We're seeing that misprint live. So yeah, that's a good catch right there. Definitely got to get that fixed up. Cool. I'm not seeing any more questions. So again, just gonna drop that the tweet one takeaway, tagging myself and Alpha Sharks on Twitter. If you guys end up doing that, you guys will be entered inside the giveaway. And yeah, make sure you guys get those in, and be on the lookout for the next Educator sessions. We will be posting that inside the Educator session chat. And again, if you don't have that media ping, make sure to kind of grab that as well. But yeah, opening up any last minute questions to you guys if you guys have any before I call it off. Going once, going twice. Sold. Cool. So that's going to be it for this week, guys. Appreciate everybody coming down and providing all the feedback. Again, if you guys can go into these charts and go over kind of what we've been doing in the sessions, I promise you guys will start to see some type of correlation. It's going to be my job to kind of get people to do that. So again, really appreciate you guys coming down, and we'll catch you guys next week. Cool. May your guys' bags be pumped, and I'll see you guys.